Hi, and welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Eric, joined by my good friend.
Karen.
We're covering some more Ryan's Hope, episodes 22 to 29. Tommy will roll the credits and we'll chat. All right, so every time Jack Finelli comes on,
Hmm.
I always think of Billy Crystal. I'm like, this man has got to be a cousin or something. Like, he talks like him, he looks like him. I'm like,
He
this is
moves
Billy
like him a
Crystal.
lot.
Right? It's
Yeah,
so weird.
mm,
So I did just a little investigative work on him, just a little bit. So his name's Michael Levin. Played Jack Finelli for the entire run of Ryan Soap, pretty much. So I think he leaves for like a little teeny bit. He just died last year,
oh no.
last January, January 6th. Didn't look up how he died, but he was 90 years old, so he had a good life.
But it doesn't matter at 90.
Yeah.
Hmm.
He did two other soaps, As the World Turns from 91 to 92, and All My Children in 93.
Who was he on All
So
My Children? Do you remember?
it was Dr. Gould. It was a bit
Okay.
part, I'm sure. He probably was in like a handful of episodes. Somebody was in a coma or something, maybe. Or maybe it was when Natalie was in the well, or that was the 92. I forget.
That was my
Maybe
favorite
he handled.
storyline ever, Natalie in the Well.
Yeah. I do want to cover that one of these days, but we can't find like the whole thing, so it's gonna be
If
hard.
you have the
Um,
whole thing on a VHS tape, I have a VCR. So anybody out there who has one, I have a VCR. Give me the tape.
and I have connections, so I might be able to find it, but
Send me
I
the
gotta
tape.
find out. I gotta find out exactly when it was from. I'm pretty sure it was like May of 92 to like the end of the year. I forget. All right, so episode 22. John and Maeve are around. They're worrying about Frank, of course. There's some weird cat screaming in the background, which is odd because
They're
my cat is screaming in the background.
No, well, they're listening to cats have sex. So I was like,
It sounded
why
like
is this?
many cats.
No, but
It sounded like 25 cats.
she comments on it about the one Tom finally getting their cat or whatever. It's stupid and weird, and I don't know why it's happening.
It was really weird. Um, we have Roger seems to be crushing on Nell.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and they just like have dinner, and he basically asks her why she's like rushing on things, like you had said. Like we think maybe she has something going on, like a brain tumor or something that she wants to rush her life now, kind of like get her shit going and get shit done.
Yeah, there's two things. One is that he asks her where her family's from, I think, or she does. I know they said county court, and
Yeah,
that's where my family's from.
oh, that's fun.
So near the Ryans, and also Roger gives this little speech where he wants to be as delusional as the Ryans, is what I got from it.
Of course, that's what you got from it.
He's like, I
Um,
want to have that faith and that solid belief and that basically delusionalness.
I do too. I'm a very delusional Ryan member. Maeve has a flashback of Frank in law school, and he brought them linoleum flooring. I don't know what that means. I don't know
Oh, it was really
why he would bring
popular.
them.
It was really popular at the time. I remember we had
Yeah, but why would he just bring them flooring? I was like,
I guess the
did they not
flooring
have
was
flooring?
old, but I think it's probably something we don't understand because it's like time specific. That was
Right.
like probably the fad thing to do, like the in thing to have. And
Yeah.
he brought her ugly linoleum with roses on it,
Yeah.
and she loved it. And I was like, that's fair. I mean, most of the design choices from the 70s and 80s are always going to be questionably fun.
And I have Roger is trying to get laid by now, it
Yes.
seems.
Yes. And he is being pushy, but in a playful way. So I wasn't
Yeah.
really mad at him because he was accepting every rebuff, but in like a playful way. So like
Yeah, and
he wasn't being gross. He was being fun, and she was laughing.
yeah, she was enjoying it. She was
Yeah.
enjoying his company. I like that we see a lot more of Roger, but he does seem like a dirty dog, so I'm excited to see more about him.
Yeah, a little bit. And I love Roger. So Yeah.
And it ends with Seneca calling, of course, because he's still, I don't know what he wants. He just wants her to come back and she ain't having it.
He's driving me crazy because she says, "Well, what do you want?" And he's like, "I want you to come home." And she's like, "Well, that's not going to happen." And he's like, Ugh, "Could you stop having your own personality and wanting to do your own things and think about me?" And she's like,
Right?
"No." And I hate Seneca. Like I hate Seneca.
I know. And then she tries to be nice and she's like, well, why don't you just come join me? And then like he's like, oh, I would never. And then she's like, well, fuck off. I gotta go.
Yeah, she really did. She was like, "Okay, well, this conversation is stupid and pointless, and
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop being
pointless.
in it now." And
And
Seneca's just
she's
like,
like, leave me
"Oh,
alone.
when are you gonna stop it and come home?" He's very aggressively annoying.
Yeah, he is annoying. Episode 23. I have Captain Ruben. I guess he's the guy on the case with Frank.
He's
I
the
don't
one
think
that
we saw him.
Reed,
Did we see him
no, Reed
before?
talked to him before because remember Reed went to the
Okay.
cops and he said push, and Captain Reed was like, "Bro, we need more than one person saying somebody said something to
Reed is Bob,
investigate this."
right?
Yeah, Bob. Yeah,
Okay.
he's
I'm
so
trying to get all their names so I know, like, cause since we watch so like sporadic, I gotta try to like remember.
it's weird because I tend to remember their last names better than their first names, but yeah, Bob Reed is
Well, yeah, it's hard because in this too, like a lot of them are doctors, so they're like doctor this, doctor that, so we
yeah.
don't get like first names.
But he's Reed's boss, and he went to see him and was like, "Yo, this whole situation is shady." And the captain was like, "Well, we'll investigate, but we don't have enough information yet to really say anything one way or the other." So I think this is
Yeah,
him following up at the hospital to kind of find out if there's any changes, which there are not. Frank is still
right.
in the bed on a respirator.
Frank's still bad, and then he needs a trach. We find out in this episode. Um, Faith and Bucky are like swimming off his yacht. I guess. What is not a yacht? What is it? Boathouse. Houseboat.
Yeah, he's on it. Yeah, he's got like the MacGyver style houseboat. So
Did you see his shorty shorts? He's like,
yeah.
show it, Bucky.
Bucky is showing everything in this episode. He does not care. He's just walking around in his little shorty shorts.
He is, and they were really cute in this episode.
Yeah, they're
Um,
cute. Like he's flirting with her and he's pushing, but anytime she pushes back, he backs off. So like
yeah,
at one point
they're
I
just
just want
playful.
you're playful. But at the same time, it's kind of like Bucky, she's weird. You gotta move slower.
Yeah, I know. I felt the same way. I was like, all right, back off, now go. And okay, all right.
Yeah, I even
But
wrote my
they were
notes.
cute.
He gives her space. He gives her space. And he was teasing her about being a doctor and having a good bedside manner. So he kept trying to
Right.
sit. He all he wanted to do was cuddle. He wasn't even trying to get anywhere. He just wanted to be next to her.
Yeah, yeah, it was sweet.
Yeah, it was cute.
Mary calls John and Delia about Frank's breathing and getting the trach and all that stuff. Delia burns herself. She's so weird. Delia, I'm almost like, is Delia an act? Like, do you think she's had like an act, like, or do you think she's just fucking weird?
So
Like, I can't tell.
I there's something going on because whenever I say to my mom, "Wow, Delia did this or Delia did that," and it's crazy, my mom always goes, "There's more to Delia than you know," and I'm like, "What does that mean?" So,
Will we find out in 1980, or are we
yeah.
gonna find out soon?
Well, I think my mom's really excited that Roger's her favorite character, and every time I say I like Roger, she's like, "Yeah, Roger's great." I was like, "Oh,
Do you
great."
watch it with your mom? You should
No,
bring it over.
my mom watched it originally, so
Oh, okay.
like
But
she just
God, that's a good memory.
yeah.
She
Well,
remembers that
Roger's her
stuff.
favorite, and she hates Maeve.
Well,
Yeah, I. It's weird what you remember, huh?
yeah, right. So yeah, Delia like burned herself. I don't know what they were cooking. Um, and then we find out like Frank's breathing better now because I guess the trach worked temporarily or whatever is going on. Delia ends up getting a blister from burning herself on the boiled water or whatever they were doing. Um, Johnny and her have a sweet moment. He's like, if anything ever happens to Frank, your family, we're here for you and stuff like that.
I'm starting to feel like only the men feel that way about Delia, though, because like Maeve is weird towards Delia and Mary Ryan is openly hostile.
Right. She has a good moment with Delia coming up.
Yeah, I know.
Um, Bob. Oh, I found out Bob is Frank's campaign manager. I didn't remember if we knew that or not.
I don't remember that. I
Um,
thought Mary Ryan was his campaign manager or Jill. Like all these people are
right?
involved.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's
Is
weird.
he doing it
Um,
now because Frank's in the hospital?
maybe I don't know. But he basically says like if the police don't do anything, we'll do something to find out what happened to Frank.
Hmm.
That's all I have for that one.
Um,
Okay.
and that was okay. Oh, I there wasn't really much to this. I just kind of really like Faith is like, you don't give up easily, and he's like, I'm a plugger or something, and I was like, what the hell does that mean? But I think it just means he just keeps plugging along. But it's
Plugging
just like
away.
it was cute to watch them be flirty and fun, in contrast
Yeah.
to like the Ryans being serious about a tracheotomy, which is no big deal to anyone who's like in the medical field. You're like, that's like Thursday.
Yeah, it's normal.
Yeah.
Um, Episode 24. Jack pays Jill a visit, which apparently they were together in the past. I think they were just dating at one point, we
They
find out.
mentioned that before that they had dated 6 years ago, and this is them reconfirming it. There's something weird in this episode. 6 years ago comes up multiple times. So something big happened 6 years ago.
Mm.
So each time it comes up, I'll mention it because I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's funny to me. Like these people like all seem to like know each other and cross paths in some way, but like yet don't know each other. If that makes
Yeah. There's like a lot
sense.
of a lot of surface level stuff going on, but everybody in town knows
Like
everybody in town
they're right. Like Mary knew Jack, obviously, but like they
because he
never
dated
really spoke.
Jill.
Right. And now that and I guess they never really spoke to them but till now. I don't know. It's
Also,
weird
that's
to me.
ridiculous. I think if my name was Jack, I would never date someone named Jill. It's just too
I
weird.
know, right? I know. I thought the same thing.
Also,
I
like,
thought the exact same thing.
I did not recognize Jill right away because she has not been on in several episodes.
Yeah, I did
Like
because I really like Jill.
it took me like halfway through the scene to be like, oh, it's Jill. Like I don't know why I recognize her in this one. She just looked different.
Yeah. So many questions are about Frank. He thinks she knows something. Um, I don't think she does, but maybe she does. I don't know.
But he is
She
mean to
doesn't
her because he's like
seem.
2 seconds from calling her a crazy cat lady. Like he's just really rude. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
Jack, seriously.
Bucky and Faith continue to hang out still and be flirty and cute. He's like says something cute like, "Oh, I just wanted you to like, friends like lay your head on each other, right? Like it's no big deal."
It's like it's like
Like,
friends hug, friends
and then
cuddle, friends are like close and stuff. And she's like, ha ha ha, no.
and then I put that he bored her to sleep. That's the
he
story.
he gave
And she
like
falls asleep on his
such a
shoulder.
really cute speech that she did not hear, which is
No.
I think is fine because I think if she had heard it, she may never speak to him again because she's got weird trauma.
Yeah. Jill has a weird flashback of Frank. Um, I don't know exactly when it was in their relationship. Their relationship confuses me. I guess because we keep getting flashbacks, so we don't know, we don't know how all of this stuff fits in
But the weird thing about this
timeline wise.
flashback is like he comes in and he's like, be happy with me, celebrate with me. And she's like, I've had a tough day. And he's like, I don't care. This is about me. Be happy with me now. And like he gets mad at her when she is like not thrilled about his company because his timing stinks. She didn't know she was going to see him. She wasn't ready to see him. And I actually wrote my notes. I was like, uptight baby man because he was being horrible.
Yeah, and I don't know, like I wonder if that was like the end of their relationship or if they were still in a relationship when he's out. I don't know. We're unknown on a lot
It's
of things.
also like she's talking about being a lawyer and being a female lawyer in a time, well, the time is still now, but like in a time where it was much more sexist. It was a lot harder for Jill to do her job than it is for Frank to do his job. And she's like, well,
Right.
they wouldn't let me talk. They wouldn't let me do this. They wouldn't let me do that. And he's like, well, all you need to do is go in there and have a good talking to your boss and he'll be fine with it. And I'm like, that's how you get fired.
Right?
Like, that's not how it works for women.
No. And then Bucky like face like sleeping and then won't wake up.
She passed out. So
Yeah, and I
he
think that
was
she
freaking
she
out.
mentioned that she only like slept 2 hours the day before, so she was just exhausted. And then they said something about like aqua something.
Vitae.
Yeah, what's that?
It's a Norwegian alcohol.
Was she drinking that?
She was doing shots of it. She was mainlining it.
Oh,
She did like 4 shots of it. He first initially she didn't want to drink alcohol at all because I think she was worried he would take advantage of her, but he's not that type of character. But I mean,
right, right,
you never know. So
right.
they were doing shots and laughing and getting drunk together, and everything just I don't think they ate enough of the fish, and they were swimming in the cold water, and she just passed out. But she passed out so hard that he gets freaked out because he's also
Yeah,
drunk and he wants to
and
make sure she's alive.
he calls and talks to Roger. He gets Ed first, I think,
That
and he's like, "Is
was
Roger
so
there?"
scary. Can you imagine? You call and you get
Yeah,
your date's
your
father.
dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they have Joe goes to Roger for help, and that's all I have in that episode.
Um, what is the one thing? Oh, yeah, when Jill talks to Roger, Roger drops that he knew she was having an affair with Frank. And
Yeah,
he's just like,
well, they're brother
I
and
know.
sister, aren't they?
Yeah, but she didn't tell him about
Yeah,
it because none of them are close. Remember, they talk about,
yeah, they're very awkward.
especially Faith talks about not even liking Roger.
Yeah,
And Jill and Roger, while Roger seems very affectionate towards her, she seems very standoffish with him. And I think this was like a moment for them to bond because he's like, I know about your affair, but it's not my business and I wasn't going to tell anybody about it.
yeah.
Like, so, yeah, but
The
he
look on
does,
his face looked like, yeah,
but I don't
till I
know.
need to.
You just want Roger to be a dirty dog because you love a dirty dog.
No, he is a dirty dog. You can just tell, and he stole that money.
I know he stole that money, but I think he stole that money
Right.
because he has gambling debts. I don't know if I care so much about that. But I
Hmm.
also like Frank is not a good character. He's a cheater. He's cheating on Delia with Jill, and he took the money initially. Where did that $6,500 come
Well,
from?
that's the thing. If Delia is as weird as she is normally, I'd cheat on her too. She's
You
weird.
just get divorced. Don't cheat on your wife, you scum. You
Maybe
know?
she cheated on him. I mean, her and Pat have an interest. We don't know yet.
It does seem like Delia's in love with Pat. Um,
Yeah.
one of the things that I'm always messing with my hair. One of the things that I think about is like, does Delia know about the affair? It seems like she does. And did Delia push him down the stairs because she confronted him about the affair? Or does Delia know who pushed him down the stairs? Because she's too squirrely and weird to not know something.
So weird. I don't know what to think of her.
I
Um,
love her.
Episode 25, Delia and Mary hang, and they have a cute moment. Delia bought her like perfume, but they call it something else. I forget.
Cologne.
But it's perfume. Yeah,
Just
cologne.
cologne.
Um, she basically says she's scared and like all this stuff, and they like bond over it. Jack comes and asks Mary out. Um, I don't know. Did they go out that time or did they just go to the hospital? Forget.
They I don't know. Mary Ryan, it just I my notes say Mary Ryan leaves with him.
Okay. Um, Delia talks to Pat about Frank. Um, and then they want to know basically like who hurt him and it wasn't an accident, which we all know by now.
Yeah, she's a little
Um,
manic in that scene. She's like going back and forth between like basically gripping up on Pat, and he's like,
yeah,
"Listen, I just got off a 20-hour shift and I got to go back to work. Can we not have conversation?"
yeah, right.
I felt really bad for him.
Faith wakes up and she smells something. And Bucky like sprays like I guess
Oh
Lysol or
wait,
like
before that happens, Mary Ryan and Frank had a weird conversation by the fountain. That's where they went. Sorry.
oh
And Frank tells an entire sad story about how he was an orphan and how he was adopted by an Italian family and how he lived over a bakery.
Oh, you
And
mean Jack?
Jack, I always think his name's Frank Finelli. Mary Ryan
Uh,
and Finelli, I should just use last names. They go to a fountain and have a weird conversation about literally we get info dumped his entire backstory.
yeah, yeah.
And he was raised by Sister Mary Joel.
Oh, yeah,
Just
I remember
as I don't know what the point of any of this was, but they
Yeah, I don't either.
also that fountain was
Um,
very odd looking. It was just a really crazy little area. I don't know if it was a real area or they just set up a fountain and filmed around it.
yeah. So Bucky mentioned that he called her brother, Faith's brother, and she gets all upset and rolls out.
She gets
Like, why would
enraged.
you do that?
Like she gets really I don't know if she's just extremely private and she doesn't want her family to know anything she's doing ever. But like that
And she
was
doesn't like her brother.
I know she doesn't like him, but that was an extreme reaction to you passed out and I couldn't wake you up and I thought you were dead. And
Right, right.
she's just like, well, then I should have been dead because don't call my brother. And I'm like, oh my God, they don't know each other well enough to know that he should never call her
Yeah,
brother.
right.
And he works with
I
her
guess,
brother. So, of course, he would call the brother, not
yeah,
the father. He didn't call an ambulance, which would have been
right,
humiliating. I don't
right.
understand. I don't understand Faith.
Jack and Mary talk about their past loves, and did we know that he dated Delia at one point? He dated everybody, I feel like.
I feel like there's 10 people in this town and they've all dated each other.
Yeah, kind of like Bold and the Beautiful, I think.
Or General Hospital,
Um,
where everyone's had a baby with Sonny. Everyone.
right. Oh yeah, that's true. Um, and Mary gets like a feeling that Frank needs her,
Psychic
and
powers.
yeah, and leaves. And that's all I got.
Yeah. I don't know. I liked the conversation between Jill and Roger. It
Yeah.
was funny when Roger was just like, "Oh, everybody's surprised I have feelings," and I was like, "These are very stilted, weird siblings," and I want to know,
They really are.
yeah, and I want to know more about them. And
Yeah, the next episode I think is where they're together. Yeah, they all get there. Like her, Jill, and him are all in scenes together for the first time, I think.
well, even when Faith gets home and Roger's kind of like, "Hey, I knew you were on a date," and like she's just
Yeah.
like, "Burn in hell, Roger," and I was just like, "What's going on?" And Roger is just like, he's like, "Hey, man, it's cool if Bucky turns you on," and she's just like, "Mind your own business and die," and I was like, oh my
It
god,
really
Jill. And then I just wrote in my notes, "Mary Ryan, magical girl?" Question mark.
is. Yeah, I put premonition.
Uh, in the soaps in the 80s, everyone had a slight psychic ability.
Right. So Mary gets to the hospital. Pat says that Frank is worse. Um,
I don't
Pat,
care. Die.
and then Pat says there's hope. So I don't know. I'm confused. But the Ryans do have to have hope, hence the show. Jill and Roger talk about her falling for Frank. Um, and wait, what? And I put they have hope and love.
Oh, God. You're writing that to annoy me. I know it.
I mean, they talk about hope the whole entire episode. I had no choice. Um, Jill, oh, and I did the comment that Jill makes to Roger. I liked you when you were a baby.
Because he's like, what happened between us? We don't get along, blah, blah, blah. And that's what she drops. She drops that like a needle drop. That was good. I loved that.
It was. And he basically said like he'll keep her secret.
Yeah.
But he won't because he looked like, like he wouldn't. Um, Faith gets home and doesn't want to talk about her shit. That's what um Jack calms Mary down because she gets a little out of control.
I Mary Ryan
Um
needs like tranquilizers, to be honest.
yeah, and I guess they said that they're working on an antibiotic for Frank to maybe help. I don't
So
know.
what they did was they took a culture because right now they have them on a broad spectrum antibiotic and it's not working. So they took a culture to find out exactly what strain of what is it, pneumonia that he has.
Pneumonia.
And they're thinking that if they do a more targeted antibiotic, they might have a chance. But they literally do not think they have a chance. They think that he's on his last legs.
Yeah.
They keep taking
Um,
x-rays of his chest to look at the pneumonia.
and Jack continues to be there for Mary. He buys like a deck of cards. He's like, let's play cards. Let's distract ourselves. And she's like, listen, I just want my family tonight. That's all I got for that one.
He's sweet, but I still feel like I'm gonna agree with Reed. I don't know if he says it later, but he's like the guy's a reporter, and if there's a story, he's gonna report on the story. So playing house with him and being sweet with him and all that, and expecting him not to report a story is stupid, you
Right.
know. And I don't know because like her loyalty to her brother is crazy. Like it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. So I don't know how that's going to shake out in their relationship because they're really in the beginning stages of their relationship, and I do like them together.
Right.
I worry.
Episode 27. Nell and Seneca talk.
God,
After
they have the same conversation.
Well,
Ugh.
no, this one he says like he's being laughed at and stuff. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
I'm
And she hangs up on him.
humiliated because my wife left me. So can't you come back and sit in my house and
Yeah.
do nothing with your life so I can be happy? And she's just like,
That's exactly how she was.
she's like, don't
You
call
got
me
that right.
anymore. Like
Don't
she,
call
I
me.
love her. I love her. And she even takes
Yeah,
the
she's
phone off
good.
the hook. She's like, no.
hmm Well, after he tries back for the second time, and
Oh
she's like, "How
man.
about this? Maybe you'll get the hint now."
He's such a baby. Like he's such a baby. I don't even know what she saw in him. Like he must be like a
Yeah.
narcissist or something.
Bucky and Faith are at work and they're acting a little awkward. He apologizes. Um,
Don't forget that Bucky spills coffee everywhere. And poor
yeah, and
poor Clem
she
is just like, could you not just pay attention and stop being dumb?
and I don't know. Bucky seems to like get close to her. She's like, "Can you just back up? Can you back
But
up off
she's
me?"
but I think because
Must be
he
like a
loves
close talker,
yeah, he is a close talker. But he also feels like he doesn't because she doesn't explain herself ever. He doesn't
right?
understand why she's so upset that he decided to call her brother instead of like an official person because he thought that
Right.
would be more embarrassing and he was worried. And she just is mad and won't ever explain why. She's like, it's Roger, as if he just came to town, as if he has the entire history of this town. He doesn't have any
Yeah.
of that information. He only gets that information from Pat, and Pat's busy right now.
Yeah. And Pat also, when Bucky goes off after Faith's like nasty to him, Pat steps up and defends him a little bit,
Yeah,
but he's really worried about, his brother.
he doesn't have time for this nonsense because this is all high
He
school
doesn't.
crap.
Um, Nick Zabo's back. Well, he's still in the hospital. Um, he gets on Clem about getting out. He's like, I want to get out now. I feel good, even though he looks still a hot mess. And Nell comes in and like can't read his X-rays or something. I was confused with that. Like she
I
couldn't.
think she said that they couldn't see what they needed to see on the X-ray. I think they were talking about he needed to get another test done. I don't know if they wanted to do a sonogram or something, but like he had a slip disc,
Yeah,
so
he had a
she
slip
couldn't see
disc.
the damage on the X-rays. So he was like, "Well, can I leave?" And they're like, "No, you're in
And then
pain."
he asked for her name too, which was weird to me.
Because she was
Like, what's he
rude.
gonna?
She was rude, and he's a mobster, so he wants to remember who she is. And she wasn't really rude.
Mm,
She was just pragmatic with him because Nell doesn't. Because remember, women are supposed to be so super nice and sweet in this era, and Nell
yeah.
is a no nonsense, cut to the chase kind of girl, and maybe classist. I'm not sure
Clem warns Nell about Nick. He's like, you might not want to mess with that dude.
as the head of the mobs, just be nice. And Nell's like, no.
Basically. Um, Faith knows that Pat is just worried about Frank, so she calms him down and they have a nice little conversation. Probably like the first one they ever had because he said he never really got along with Faith or like whatever.
I can see it because Faith is so weird and off-putting in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
and Pat's not going to put the time in to figure out why.
Right,
He
right.
basically calls her an ass for the way she treated Bucky, which is correct.
Faith apologizes to Bucky, and Nell keeps hanging up on Seneca. That's all I got on that
Oh my
one.
god, I felt so bad for her because like Bucky's like, "Oh, well, don't you think you can work things out with Seneca?" Because Bucky's young and dumb and a romantic, and she's like, "No, the
Right.
marriage is finished." And I was like, "Yes," because Seneca sucks. He's gonna come to town.
Yeah.
There's no way he's not coming to town.
Like, I can't believe he's not there yet. Like, dude, fight for your woman if you want her back. Like, what the hell's
But
your
he
problem?
doesn't seem to want her back in a way that's like
Right.
romantic.
He wants it for him and he wants it on his terms and everything. Like, he's
Yeah, he's not
terrible.
compromising. Every time she's like, "What's the compromise we can make so that we can both be happy? Why can't you come here when you're done your work like you said you were going to?" And he's like, go there? I would never." And it's like, you said
Right.
earlier that you would, which means when you told her that in 6 months you could come to town, you were lying.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the point of the relationship with Seneca? He feels like she's like a pet that he wants to put back in its cage. And
Right.
she keeps talking about wasting time, and I don't know when we're gonna find out, but I think she has TV disease.
She definitely has TV.
Yeah.
Episode 28 starts out with Mary coming out of the elevator and bumping right into Roger
That
and
was
smacked
funny.
him in the nose. He's like, ah, my nose. Like she pretty much like might have broken his nose.
And she tells him about an incident that was what, 6 years ago. That's the first
Damn,
one.
what's going on?
So 6 years ago, when she was underage, Roger didn't know she was underage and thought she was cute and invited her up for a drink. And I was like, I'm creeped out. How underage was Mary Ryan and how old was Roger in this scenario?
Well, it was only 6 years ago. How old's Mary supposed to be? Like 21? I don't know.
She says, I believe she says later on when she's telling the story that she was 15.
Okay.
So if she was
So she's
15,
21 now then. That was 6 years
yes.
ago.
Yes. So then Roger, I think, is probably in his 30s. He
Yeah.
looks young, but he's the eldest brother, I
Um,
think. So I
yeah,
don't know how old Roger is.
I guess Jack's still doing his story because he questioned Delia in this one. So he questioned Jill, he questions Delia again. So I don't
And
know
she
exactly what
met
he's trying to
she
get.
Frank 6 years ago when she was 18.
Right. Hmm.
So that's the second time it's come up.
Delia ends up coming to the hospital and she tells Mary that she talked to Jack. Delia and Maeve are at Frank's bedside.
Hmm.
And I put Roger and Jack are enemies. It seems like anyway.
I don't know. It does, I guess, because he dated Roger's sister and broke up with Roger's sister, so he probably resents him for that. Or they had
Yeah.
other stuff going. They probably, and now they're fighting over the same girl, so it's not.
Right, I was gonna say it seems like Roger's into Mary too, but like, it seems like Roger's into everyone, honestly.
So now we have the
Any
situation.
single woman.
Yeah, well, yeah. But like we have the situation where 6 years ago, all these storylines started. 6 years ago, Delia started dating Frank. 6 years ago, Mary Ryan had that incident with Roger. And then 6 years ago was when Jack dated Jill. So like why would six come up three times in a row,
Yeah,
Mark of the Beast style in this
that
show?
is
What's
weird.
going on? What is going on?
That is, I honestly didn't think about that.
It just kept coming up. When things come up like that, my brain goes, "Why? Why is that coming up?" And also in the
Mm,
scene with Finale and Delia, she's holding a little piece of, I don't know if it's crocheted baby blanket. It's definitely like a handmade piece. And as he keeps asking her questions like, did you like him being a candidate? Like she starts mangling the little piece, crocheted piece in her hands. So like she
right.
gets more and more upset throughout the conversation. And he's not asking hard questions. He's asking questions like, Um, did you like it when your husband became a candidate? What did you think about him? How was your relationship? And she's like literally mangling this little piece of fabric. So I'm like,
Hmm.
what is what's going on with Delia?
Well, that's what I mean. I felt like that since day one. What's going on with Delia?
I know, but like it
It's so
just seems
weird.
like there's so much between. This is why it's so annoying that Frank's not dead or awake. I hate it. It's just how long do we have to listen to him breathe on a respirator? This is not real life. I don't need real life statistics. I want soapy stuff. And I don't
I'm
know.
getting soapy stuff out of this. There's the flashbacks and stuff. We're
The
seeing,
flashbacks are so irritating, I have to tell you. Like I
I
just
think they're fine.
every flashback I get of this guy makes me like the only one I liked him in was I liked when he was supportive of Pat when Pat was becoming a
Right.
doctor. But everything else I think I hate this guy.
Shocker.
Shocking. I hate the guy that's cheating on his wife and is rude to his mistress and stole $6,500 and was probably pushed down the stairs for a reason.
Hopefully, we find out one of these days.
Do do you think that Bucky thinks that Delia is no? Do you think that Bucky wants to marry Faith tomorrow?
I don't think he would go that far. I don't think he's like that.
Do you? I think he thinks she is his one and only forever, and Faith thinks he's a cute guy that she saw at work.
Right, yeah. Oh yeah, I meant to mention I get very like Allison from Peyton Place vibes from Faith and and from Delia.
So what's going on now is like we're looking at the shows through a modern lens, and if you ever hear somebody say to you, "Why are there so many cases of neurodivergence now? We never had that before," and I'm like, I give you Faith and Delia. Like Faith, Faith looks like she's been traumatized, obviously, from her previous relationship, but she also
Yeah.
gives off like I want to say like asexual vibes, like because she seems to be very like I don't know why anybody wants to have a relationship with me. I don't see the point in them, and I want to work and I want to be left alone. And
Right.
Bucky's like overt attraction to her seems to confuse her more than like upset her or anger her. It seems to confuse her.
Yeah.
And Delia, I don't know. Delia does have very Allison vibes in a lot of like I'm a
She
child, but an adult. I'm also weird, but a mother. I don't. I feel like
it's like Allison in the future
yeah, it's like
is Delia.
she's either faking that she's as fragile as she is, and she's up to something, or she is very very fragile, and I don't know if that's due to her relationship with Frank or because
Right.
she's a unique human being. I do like Nell though, because Nell is like a feminist woman before. Like I don't even know if Nell would consider herself a feminist woman, but she's like an icon. Her hanging up on Seneca was such an fu. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous. She was just like, ah, stop
Right.
talking to me.
So I guess Jack and Mary like prepare to go to like a date and Roger's like, don't trust Jack, and then he's like says something like for Jack to like be good to her too or something, and I'm like, what's he up to?
I I'm worried that maybe the relationship with Jill broke up in a rough way, and that's why. Well, first off, Roger wants to get with Mary Ryan, so any kind of mud he can
Right.
sling, he's going to do it. He even says, like years ago, we kissed for the first time, and you crashed into me again today. Maybe it's time to start over. So he's definitely throwing himself at Mary Ryan.
Right.
But he's not the
And
only one. Bob Reed is throwing himself at Mary Ryan, and Finelli is throwing himself at Mary Ryan. And Mary Ryan is like, my brother's in the hospital dying. Could we like think about that?
yeah.
And the only one she seems to be interested in is Finelli, and they both seem to be mutually interested in each other. And Roger does not like that at all.
And who wants whitefish for a picnic? I was
I don't,
like,
I don't eat fish, so
I'm
I mean,
like, I would like a ham and cheese for, but I don't want like a fish sandwich for a
you know what
picnic. It's
I
weird.
think for a picnic is you get one of those rotisserie chickens and some side dishes.
All right. Well, then I guess Mary can have her whitefish then if you want a whole
You
chicken.
just want a ham and cheese.
So that's it for that episode. Episode 29. John and Nell are talking. He asks her if Frank is dying, and she says yes. He
I mean,
didn't want to like bother Dr. Coleridge, Ed, because he didn't want him to have to give the news because he kind of senses it's bad news.
yeah, because she's sparing Ed from telling his best friend that his son's dying. Like, and she's
Right.
clinical about it, which I think Johnny needs to hear someone be straightforward.
And I feel like the Ryans are losing hope. um,
Good.
oh, they'll get their hope back. Damn it.
No, no. Frank will die. He will die. If he
He
dies, that
tells
would be so
Bob.
lame. It would be so lame if he dies after all this time.
Everybody passes the word around that he's not doing good. He tells Bob. Nick comes along. He tells him that Frank's
Mhm.
not doing good. That he probably won't make it. Bob says it wasn't an accident. To Nick, which I thought like I'm confused with Bob and Nick because I thought they were like enemies, but now they're like I don't know. I'm confused. Um, and Nick mentions like that
Wait, which
he
one
and
is Nick?
John,
I forget.
Nick Szabo,
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
Nick and John
Harry
did
Silva
favors.
from General Hospital.
Nick and John did favors for each other in the past. We find out that Maeve got his daughter into school
Right. His
when he
daughter's
wasn't
name
able
is
to.
Serena.
Yeah, which I
So
don't know if we'll see her. We
I'm
might.
assuming
I don't know.
we will. Um, yeah, I'm assuming we will.
Ed and Nell talk. She wants to clear the air. She seemed like in a better mood. Maybe hanging up on Seneca like made her feel good.
Yeah, I think so. I think she just is
Like she's
emotionally
done.
in turmoil, and then she just decided that the turmoil was over because like she wasn't getting anywhere. Like she had the same conversation with Seneca 4 times. And I
Yeah,
think that last time she was just like, I'm talking to a brick wall. It's over. So I think now she can focus. And I think she realized a little bit because of how much pressure Ed's under with Frank being in the hospital and his best friend being there watching his son dying, that Nell was kind of
yeah.
like, I'm being way too much. And she backed off.
So Seneca calls a Marshall Westheimer, who's
Oh, you
another doctor.
you remember
What
him?
do I remember him? No,
Mm-hmm.
was he in it before?
He was in like the first or second episode.
No, I didn't remember him at all.
He's the one.
It was
He's the
that
one
was so
who's
28
Nell's.
episodes ago.
He's the one who's Nell's cousin who got her the job at the hospital.
Okay. Um, so yeah, Seneca calls him, I guess, wanting his help with Nell of some sort.
He actually berates him for helping Nell get the job. And he's like, "What do you want me to do? Her family is rich as hell. They get what they want." And Seneca's like,
Right.
"You couldn't have sabotaged her for me." I'm like, Seneca, ugh.
Um, I forget who Bob is talking to. Is he talking to Nick still? But he basically like says it almost seems like Frank was his lover. I put. I'm like, I wish 1975 the gay thing was around
Do you think
because
Reed? You think Bob Reed and Frank are lovers? Because I could get on board.
yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, Bob talks like Frank is his bro lover.
Yeah, a lot of
He's
times
very
the way
upset.
he talks, well, also I think Mary Ryan talks the same way about her brother, and it creeps me out. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
it's too close. It's too close for
yeah.
siblings. They're
She laid off a little bit. Maybe the people wrote letters. I feel like she
because
laid off a little
remember
bit
there was
these
that
episodes.
scene where she had the flashback where Frank told her about dating Delia, and she acted like a
Yeah,
spurned girlfriend, and that was really strange. And then she has the psychic
but that
connection.
also, but that also could be because
Could
she
be.
knows how Delia is, and maybe Delia already had slept with Pat. We don't know like
We don't. I'm
what
looking
happened
at
yet.
I'm just looking at how the scene was played out, and the scene was played
Right,
out
right,
as if she was upset that her boyfriend was leaving her for another woman. That is how she played
right,
the scene. So I don't know if that was intentional, what was going on there. Like there seems
right.
the people who love Frank seem to love Frank. And
Right.
it's weird. I think it's weird. I'm gonna go on record, say that's
It
weird.
is, it is. He mentions that he'll tell Delia, how, Frank's gonna die.
Yeah,
Um, Maeve had the flashback. I'm sure you love this of her singing some Irish
I
tune
skipped it.
to
I
you
skipped it. I
what?
couldn't take it. I skipped it. I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. Her singing the song and bouncing the stupid baby. I was gonna die.
That was the end of the episode.
I just was like,
And
fast forward.
so then I guess you missed Tweety. She had Tweety
I
there,
don't.
the little Tweety squeaky toy,
I don't care because I can't take it. I can't take Maeve singing.
and that's all I got for all of these episodes.
I feel like this there was. I mean, I know we talked about a lot of different things, but I feel like this whole week was just like Frank getting worse. Everyone coming to
Right.
terms with the fact that Frank is probably going to die, which leads me to believe he's going to wake up soon.
I know, it makes me think something's gonna happen too.
Yeah,
But I don't
there's.
know what. Like, if it's looking so bleak, like, what could possibly? Well, I guess maybe like a last minute antibiotic or something will come through, or
I think they'll probably start him on the new antibiotic because they said that the culture was almost ready and he's going to respond to that. Like the two options
yeah,
are at this point, Frank flatlines and that's it,
yeah.
which wouldn't make sense with the way they're setting him up to be
No.
Ryan's Hope
Mm,
Jesus. So
right, right.
um, I think
I
it's going to
think I
be.
think they're setting him up for when he gets up, he's gonna have a lot of shit to face, and it's gonna be fun to see.
It is, but like I don't know. I don't know if again like so far I don't care about Frank like in any way shape or form. I feel like they've built him up too much for me to think of him as a regular person. So I'm looking forward to seeing him broken down from like their like shrine of Ryan to actually seeing what Frank is like in real life instead of in memories and whatever. I'd like to see what he actually is like.
And we
Um
did have a Siobhan mention too. I think
it's
when
fine, yeah.
Siobhan told Maeve about Serena not being able to get in school, so I guess Serena and Siobhan were friends
So
or something.
Siobhan is the oldest sister. Is she the oldest or the youngest?
I'm
There's
not
too many
positive.
Ryans.
She's a Ryan, but we didn't see her yet.
They did mention her before because there's two sisters off screen.
Yeah, I know. I
So
forget the other one's name. They don't mention her too
I'm
often.
assuming it's an extremely Irish name.
Nah.
So I mean, because Siobhan is like
Yeah,
impossible
right,
for Americans to even spell.
right.
But no, I mean, with Nell, I think we're gonna have to have Seneca come to town. Like that's he
Yeah,
has
for
to
sure.
come to town. He has to grow up and come to town. And do I think he's going to grow up? No. I think he's going to come to town and he's going to say the same stupid stuff to her face. And if she stabs him, I would not be surprised.
I'm wondering if he will just like yes her and like get her back, kind of, and then kind of fuck
You mean
her
like,
somehow.
oh, I'll stay here. I love you, blah, blah, blah. So they can sleep together. And then it'll be like, all right, pack your shit. Let's go. And she's going to be like,
Yep,
murder.
yep.
Um, yeah. Yeah. I think Bucky and Faith will probably progress along the same strange path.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna go,
I
but
don't
yeah, I
know if
don't.
we're supposed to root for them or not because they are cute, but Faith is so against being in a relationship. I don't know how I feel.
Right. Yeah, I don't either. And I want to know more of the family dynamics with Delia. Like, I want to know if she's done other things in the past, like
I want to
that.
know where
I don't know.
Delia's family is. Like, who's Delia's
Yeah,
mother?
right?
We
Right.
know she has a brother, but that's it.
Yeah, her brother's around, but yeah, like they don't talk about her past.
And she's
So yeah, I
not
definitely want to
in
know more
scenes
about
with her
her.
brother as often as I wish she would be because, like, I feel like Bob cares about Delia as a person. And sometimes I feel like the Ryans, except for Johnny and Pat, I think the Ryans care about Delia as an extension of their son. Like, I, I don't really. Maeve doesn't seem like she likes Delia all that much. She treats Delia like a puppy that pees in the house. most of the time.
She kind of does.
And Johnny seems to be very sweet about her, so I like him. And Pat seems they had a thing, and I think
Yeah.
Celia wants to continue having a thing, and Pat is a busy
I
doctor.
wonder. I wonder if the baby's gonna end up being his or something. Her baby, her 3-year-old with Frank. I don't
I don't
know. There's
know.
stuff. There's a lot going on. And then the 6 years ago thing that you brought up too. Like, are we gonna find out what happened
But
6 years
why
ago with
mention it like
all
it
of his
has to
names?
be a thing? If it's not a
Yeah, it's gotta
thing,
be a thing.
why point it out so often in this week's bank of episodes? Or I think we
Right.
watched like 8 or 9. Um,
Yeah, 9.
but like it was a
Or
huge
8.
a
8.
huge block, right? A huge block of episodes, and the six kept coming up, 666,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
in a
The
show where
Dallas number.
the main family is religious, and we're gonna have like 666 come up.
Yeah,
So
right.
that's funny. I like that.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, we had a lot. And I want more of Jill. She's only on like
Jill,
once every
yeah, Jill
10
is
episodes.
barely fleshed out. We know she's a lawyer. We know she had an affair with Frank. We
Right.
know she didn't get along with her family because it seems like she's illegitimate. So,
Yeah, right.
and obviously the mother was awful to her because she's illegitimate. So, you know,
Yeah.
but like that's all we know about her. And I feel like the only way we're going to learn about her is the same way we learned about Finelli, where he's just going to stand at a weird fountain and monologue at us for about 10 minutes about the
Yeah,
orphanage.
right.
So
Right.
that's it just seems like they love like I like these writers because they write some really clever, cute dialogue. But when they
Yeah.
want to deliver information, they're just like, I don't have time for this. So here is 4 paragraphs about what I need you to know so I can get back to my quirky dialogue.
And let me start out an episode with the Ryans watching cats have sex.
I don't understand that. What was the point of that?
It
What
was
was
bizarre. I was like, I didn't even know what was happening. I'm like, what is going on? Is there a lot of like feral cats in the alley? I don't know what's happening.
there seems to be this cat
And it
people
almost sounded
too.
like real people like meowing. It seemed
But like remember, we had the whole story about Frank saving a cat and then the cat had
right.
kittens and now we
Yeah.
have this cat and I'm like there's all these kind of like weird background threads going on and it's like will they pay off or are they just like hey welcome to this town these people are weird. I don't know.
Right.
I don't
I
know.
don't either.
It's the 70s. What do I know?
Right. All right. Well, I'll wrap this episode up of Queers and Soaps. Thank you for joining us today for more Ryan's Hope. We'll bring you some in the future. We have a lot we're wrapping up. Swan's Crossing, we're wrapping up. We have Luke and Laura's wedding coming up. That's going to be a big event for us. Um,
Yay.
and so we'll get back to you soon. Follow us on all the socials, subscribe, like, comment on things. Let us know if you want us to do any other soaps, anything else. We do a lot, whatever you want.